Welcome back to another episode of the Drive-In Podcast. And today we're reviewing Macbeth.
And
Um, I
specifically the 2015 version.
yeah, the newest version, starring Michael Fassbender and Marion Cotillard.
Yeah,
Well, I just came back from the theater actually as we're recording this, and I just saw it, and I've never been a big fan of Shakespeare's writing because well, I just find the dialogue very, I don't know, uh, old, for lack of a better word. It's very melodramatic, I
yeah. I mean,
guess.
I
I,
essentially feel the same because all those phrases, all those,
yeah,
uh,
because
it feels unnecessary in a way.
nobody talks like that today. So it's kind of hard if you're not into, I
Yeah, I
guess,
mean,
literature and theater.
in some ways it feels kind of dated. But how did you feel that it worked in this edition?
Well, I think the fact that the acting was so good, especially by Fassbender and Cotillard, that it kind of made up for the dialogue.
Yeah, I felt that the two main stars sort of elevated a lot of it because they essentially kept the they kept the writing style. They kept the sort of it's the sort of same type of dialogue that you would hear in the play, but I think it's just the strength of those two actors' performance that just helps the film. And I will say that I was very surprised by Marion Cotillard because I'm generally not a big fan of her. I've found her American acting roles to be kind of dull. You know, the Dark Knight Rises and Inception.
Yeah.
What's there? I found her acting in those to be dull, and here she was spectacular. She gave an Oscar worthy performance, but
Well, she's
sadly
an
wasn't.
Oscar winner, so it's um,
Sure, but
well,
prior to this, not to my knowledge.
no, but yeah, I agree with you in that both Fassbender and Cotillard both elevated the film. But the one critique I've, I'm gonna note that the way they talked, it was a little bit too much of whispering. It was kind of hard to understand what they're saying sometimes. So, oh, bless you. So I guess sometimes a little bit too hard to understand what they were saying, and sometimes they whispered too much.
Yeah,
And I was kind of this is a small critique, but their performances were so good that it didn't really matter that much.
well, yeah. Shall we begin by just talking a little bit about the plot and then talk
Yeah,
about
yeah. We'll
yeah
we'll start with the premise actually.
yeah
Um,
go ahead.
oh yeah, yeah. It's about a general from Scotland.
Or, or,
So
or, or isn't he a Thane or sort of a
yeah, a
lord?
Thane.
Yeah.
Well, that's like a military general today, right? Basically.
Yeah, I mean, I guess a Thane is sort of like a lord in a sense. He's a
Yeah,
lord, he's a general, and it sort of begins with him sort of. There's a rebellion in Scotland,
yeah,
and he's essentially one of the lords that are loyal to the king. So he decides to. So in the beginning of the film, he sort of ends that rebellion effectively.
yeah,
And after the battle has been fought, he sort of sees he
yeah,
and his underling sort of. You can take it from here if you will.
yeah. During the battle, there are like it's observed by three witches, and and he notices them, and they tell him that he's one day gonna become a future king of Scotland. So at this point,
And he also tells his friend.
yeah,
What's the name of that character again? Let me just check.
Banco, I think Banco.
Yeah, it was Bon. Yeah, yeah, it was
Yeah,
Bonko. And he sort of tells him that, yeah, you will bear your sons will be kings, or your descendants will be kings.
yeah. They're sort of, I guess, Macbeth from that point on is, I guess, filled by ambition.
Yeah, I mean, he's sort of on the one hand, he sort of wants to step up his game and become king. On the other hand, he really the King of Scotland is known as a very good man.
Yeah,
Duncan, played by what's the guy who played Remus Lupin in Harry Potter? Let me see here.
yeah. What's
Uh,
his name?
David Telvis.
David Telvis.
No,
Okay,
Tevlis.
Telvis.
And and he sort of tells his wife about this, what he saw, and she immediately decides that we must kill the king so that you will ascend the throne yourself.
Yeah, yeah,
And
yeah. And from that point on, I guess it falls into this. I guess a story of how power can
yeah,
deceive a man.
and
Uh,
corrupt the man.
yeah,
And
uh, it's a very well. What can I say? It's a very while the dialogue is very heavy and of course it's Shakespeare. It's more visual film.
it
Uh,
is. I mean, I think that's one of the reasons why I enjoyed it so much.
yeah, uh,
Despite the fact that the dialogue at times can be very, at times difficult to grasp, at times difficult to um, to just listen to, I guess.
yeah,
I think that the artsiness of the way it's filmed, the battle sequences, they're just so phenomenal,
yeah.
and
The
it, it
the I think I've kind of grown sick of the use of slow motion in every action film now these days, but in this film it worked very well with a beautiful
oh
cinematography.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
I
I
mean
mean,
the use of the color red was phenomenal and fantastic. It reminded me of Nicholas Winding Refn's films, and particularly Only God Forgives and Valhalla Rising.
yeah, I mean, yeah. We spoke of this before we began recording, and
Yeah,
I mean, it reminded me very much of Valhalla Rising because it's the same sort of
I get yeah, setting and to
same
both
sort of artsiness to some of the way the shots are set up and such,
yeah, yeah,
and also seeing the way Michael Fassbender just the way Macbeth continuously decides to betray more of his allies, the way he
yeah,
is it's just a marvelous performance, and I'm a bit disappointed that he wasn't recognized. I know he was nominated for
Steve Jobs.
Steve Jobs, but I have a hard time believing that that performance is more uh, is as dynamic as this one.
Well, I haven't seen Steve Jobs. Have you seen it?
No, I haven't seen it either, but I just I just think this is one of the best performances Fassbender has ever given.
Well,
Uh,
yeah, I'm a big fan of his, and
yeah, yeah, so am I, and
he's actually in Norway right now. So
yeah, yeah,
we
yeah.
so
I
we
mean,
should.
that's the great thing. He's playing the probably the best Norwegian crime detective, Harry Holt, and he's actually filming in Oslo now. And so TK might even go
Yeah,
get a
I'm very
picture with
tempted to meet him now.
him.
I'm a huge fan of his, and he inspires me a lot. So I guess we should. I guess I'm on a mission now to find him, and just thank him. So, well, yeah. Enough about me fanboying over Fassbender. Get back to Sorry, I got a cough going on, but I I um I particularly enjoyed the score and the soundtrack of the film. It just added to that, intensity and
Well, yeah, yeah, yeah. I mean,
atmosphere in the film.
it's a very depressing film from the get go.
Yeah,
It,
yeah,
it, it, it really it really in some ways elevates the source material by making it even darker than it is, and it is a very dark story. It's about a man who gets corrupted by power, who just completely destroys himself in some ways.
yeah. Basically, loses the plot. And
Yeah,
what's even worse is that at the beginning of the film, as you said, the wife came up with a plan to actually kill the king, right?
yeah,
And in the end, he actually becomes worse than his wife. There's the one scene when he killed Macduff's family.
oh yeah, yeah, yeah.
She, she's crying and she's very compassionate. And notice that shit. My husband is losing his fucking mind,
Yeah,
basically.
yeah. I mean, there are several of those scenes. There's an earlier scene too at the banquet where he sort of just where he sort of sees the ghost of Banco, his friend,
Yeah, yeah,
because he sort of ordered a hit on Banco and his son because it was foretold by the witches that a son of Banco will end up on the throne, or a descendant of Banco will end up on the throne,
yeah. And I think
and he just loses his mind in this scene, and his wife essentially just has to take control and tell everyone to go to bed, and I even find I really yeah, I mean, I think I always in this film I found Lady Macbeth to be more evil than Macbeth because she seemed to be more in touch with her, or she seemed more stable, you know.
yeah, she knew what she was doing, basically. Well, um, yeah, but at the end, though, I mean, uh, in my opinion, Macbeth himself is more evil than his wife.
Yeah, or I sort of blame it more on insanity, but
Yeah, yeah. Well, he loses the plot, but I guess. But so I'm sorry. I just cleared my throat there a little bit. I yeah. In some ways, they're well. They're both evil, and
yeah.
and that's how their hunger for power
Hmm.
corrupts
But
and deceives them.
so how would Macbeth rank among the best Shakespeare plays for you? I mean,
Well,
are you familiar with any of his other works?
well, yeah, Romeo and Juliet. I think everybody knows about that.
Yeah,
There's
Hamlet.
Hamlet. Well, we actually did see an adaptation of Hamlet. We saw
But
Laurence
yeah,
Olivier's adaptation, and well, it had some good scenes, especially at the beginning. I
yeah,
completely fell out of that film. I mean, I just
yeah. I found it too old fashioned and weak. I feel that this is. I mean, I've seen some other good adaptations of Shakespeare plays, particularly by Akira Kurosawa. I saw a film called Ram, which is an adaptation of King Lear. But I still say that this is the best Shakespeare adaptation
adaptation.
I've seen. Uh, I mean, it's just so great.
Yeah, yeah, I agree. This is well, if I compare it to Hamlet, which is the other film adaptation of a Shakespeare play I've seen, this is more my type of film where there's not too much old-fashioned Shakespearean dialogue. The film is told more visually, and I prefer that to heavy dialogue. And
It's
especially,
also very, very dark and twisty. I
yeah,
mean, as we mentioned earlier, the tone
Very
is very
mythological
consistent.
as well.
Yeah,
Yeah, I'm sorry, I cut you off. What were you saying?
yeah. I mean, it's consistently grim and depressing. It's not. I don't. I mean, there's like no, there's not one joyful moment in this film.
No, there isn't actually.
and
Everything
and
just gets worse and worse. I mean, it's similar to The Hunt, but this is this just a tragedy, you know.
yeah,
Just the fall of a man who once had everything, had everything that he wanted. Had a good, he was trusted general of his king and had a wife and everything was going to plan and he was a good general, good sword fighter, and just he wanted more than that, and just I guess it showed that more power can be damaging to
yeah.
to a person. And
What did you think of the actor that played Malcolm,
um, the son, right? That's the son.
the son of the king?
Yeah,
Yes.
yeah, yeah. Well, he wasn't in it very much, but he was all right. He was good.
Do
Uh,
you know that he 2 years ago, in or soon to be, or 1.5 years ago, played was the main love interest of no he's did, did you know that he was in Transformers: Age of Extinction?
Age of is that the
That's the
Transformers
fourth
4?
one.
I haven't
Yeah,
seen that one.
neither have I, but I've seen enough clips of him there, and his acting in this is actually pretty great. He does give a very dynamic and good performance, and he's I mean just the difference between his acting there and here. I mean it was so fascinating for me to see this guy go from Transformers to Shakespeare like 1 year. That's
I well well I haven't seen that Age of Extinction, but it's a Michael Bay film, so I kind of get what you're saying, and that
yeah. I mean the you know
acting
what the
is
acting
isn't
is.
a strong point of a Michael Bay film.
No.
But
But it's I
if
think
it was that bad in Transformers, or yeah, it was that if it was that bad in Transformers, I mean, good on him to he actually
yeah.
delivered a quite a good performance, when
Yeah,
he
I still think that the main the great the powerhouse performances comes from Fassbender, Cotillard, and let me see here.
the guy who played Sean Harris.
Yeah, Sean Harris,
Yeah,
the
yeah,
guy who played
he was
Macbeth.
great as well. He was great.
Yeah, he was great. I mean, he and Banco, of course, the guy who played Banco. But I mean, it's just it's a film riddled with so many great performances. Uh, the great camera work.
Yeah,
And
did it get nominated for cinematography at the
yeah,
Oscar?
no, a second. I'm just gonna check here.
Hopefully it did, because if not, that's I mean, I
Yeah,
mean,
yeah.
basically the cinematography itself. You should just see this film based on the cinematography itself.
Oh yeah. I mean, that, if you dislike Shakespeare or Shakespearean dialogue, you should still go and see this movie.
Yeah,
It's
if you
filled with great, great, you know,
beautiful shots and
great cinematography, great score. But
top acting.
yeah, I mean, this is a for me, this is a solid 10 out of 10 movie.
Really?
Yeah, yeah. I
Wow.
mean, I went and saw this on Thursday,
Yeah.
2 days ago, and I was completely blown away. I was sort of I was at first a bit I was sort of a bit resistant to going and see to go and see this because I've heard good things, but at the same time it was a Shakespeare But when I just saw the trailer, I just realized that this has that tone that I like in a film like this. So I went and saw it, and I couldn't be more happy. This was a solid film that should have been nominated for all categories. Sean Harris should have been nominated.
Cotillard.
Fassbender, Cotillard, and some of you people who criticize the Academy should for lacking black acting nominees and such should also be complaining about this because this was just phenomenal.
Yeah, and I just checked the cinematographer's name. His name is Adam Archipel, if I pronounce that right. He should have been nominated too, if he wasn't. I'm pretty sure we'll look like dumbass as if he was actually nominated, but hopefully he was.
Tell me, which other
films has he been a cinematographer in?
Yeah.
He has worked with on Top of the Lake and True Detective, which are
okay. I've seen some of the first season of True Detective, and that was just phenomenal.
Yeah.
The way it was shot, I mean, it was a really like this. It has a really eerie feeling. I mean, you should check it out. It's great.
Yeah, I'll definitely check it out. But yeah, top notch on Mr. Archipel. I mean that one of the best cinematography, one of the best works in cinematography I've ever seen in a film, along with Only God Forgives and I guess some of Paul Thomas Anderson's films.
So what do you rate it?
I'll give it a solid 9.
Okay.
I mean, yes, the dialogue and the is it's Shakespearean, and I guess that drags it down for me. And some of the I guess the speaking parts, I guess the way they spoke, sometimes they spoke, it's sort of like they whispered. And
yeah, I can sort of agree on that.
And thank God for subtitles, because or else I wouldn't have understood what they were saying. But the performances of the actors, the cinematography, the score. I mean, it makes it a solid 9 out of 10 film for me. I mean, this is one of the best films I've seen this year.
Oh yeah. Or one of the best of 2015, we should say.
I mean, let's give credit to the writers and the director for taking that play and making it to a good cinematic and atmospheric film that we love.
Yeah, I mean, I think this is a great movie, and upon a second viewing, perhaps I'll even go as far as to say it's one of the best of this decade.
Really?
Oh yeah. I mean, it's such a powerful film.
It's very intense as well.
Hmm?
It's very intense as well. I mean, just
yeah. I mean, it keeps you never take your eyes away from the screen because it's so captivating. It's just overall one of the most brilliant movies I've seen in a very long time, and you should run out and see this in theaters before it.
Yeah, if it's still in theaters, just catch it before for the last showing. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, this is a film that should be viewed in the theater, and
yeah, you really need that cinematic experience.
Oh yeah.
I mean, a good friend of ours, Max. Shout out to him.
You might become a co-host.
Maybe one day we'll have him on an episode. Yeah, he's a good friend of ours, and when we saw Drive, he was resistant into seeing it. He was like, I'm not really interested in that. And then he saw it at home on his computer, and then he was like, fuck you guys, I should have seen it in the theater. Yeah, so basically, this is one of those films that you have to see it at the theater. You need that cinematic and experience with that, amazing sound and beautiful imagery. This is just, you know, this is one of those experiences like we had in Drive, where it's an experience rather than a film in itself,
Yeah,
if
I
you know
mean,
what I mean.
it feels more like a movie because of the size of the screen, but also the way the cinematography, the
Yeah.
music. Yeah, I mean, this is a perfect film, and I couldn't praise it more.
And one thing I'll add before we finish up is that the director, Justin Kurzel, if I pronounce his last name, is actually directing Assassin's Creed, which also stars Fassbender and
Wow,
Cotillard.
really? I
Yeah.
didn't know that.
Yeah,
That's
I
so
just found out
great.
today. Um, so yeah, more I guess more medieval action, and I can't wait for Assassin's Creed. I'm a fan of the series, even though I've only just played the first game.
Yeah,
Um,
it's a great series.
yeah,
Shall we wrap this up?
yeah. Let's wrap this up.
Uh, if you like this spoiler review discussion, you should
You should definitely subscribe,
and like our video.
like our
And
video, comment, tell us what you think. Maybe we'll have a nice discussion in the comment section. Even
Yeah, yeah.
I mean, we all have different opinions, and we like to.